I wanted something more innovative, something different, because I think teacher teaching students, just standing up teaching them is not the way to go anymore.
Ivy Dreger was watching her kids' creative spark go out. After kindergarten, her daughter started at a big-name private school, the kind she says that anyone would want to go to. Ivy asked herself, am I crazy to want to make a change? But then she found Pear Tree Elementary, a school currently offering kindergarten to grade 7 in Vancouver's Kitsilano neighborhood. What she found there was an innovative approach to education, an approach that breaks down silos between subject matter, and a warm, caring vibe that just felt like home. Ivy made the change, and now she says she's celebrating because her creative kid is back.
Ivy, would you tell me about your daughter?
My daughter is in grade 2 right now, and she just loves being creative. She is most into making things and creating things. She wants to be a fashion designer and accessory designer, and she just loves making things.
And how long has she been at Pear Tree?
She's been at Pear Tree actually since September 2019. We started this year, and this is our first year at Pear Tree Elementary, but she used to go to another private school, and she was there for 3 years, and it's another Vancouver school that's very, very popular, actually. But we wanted something different, less traditional than your typical school, so we decided to look for something different, and that's how we met Pear Tree, actually.
So there was really a decision-making process involved for you. She was already studying at a local private school, and you were saying, this isn't working, we need something new. What was that situation that you were facing? What was that red flag that made you think a change was necessary?
Yes, actually, so she was not struggling at that school or anything. She was actually loved by her teachers. We were happy with our friends there. Everything was nice, other than I started seeing she was losing her spark, to be honest. She was losing her creative spark. I would pick her up and she would have this sad, tired face where she did not. When I asked her what she did, she's she wasn't excited about school. And before, for preschool, she used to go to Montessori school, and she used to be so excited when I picked her up. And when I started seeing that happening, I started feeling sad, because this is a great school, of course. I mean, maybe not the junior school, I don't think so, but everybody wants to go to this school, and are we crazy? What are we doing, taking our kid from this school that everybody wants to go to? They're donating thousands of dollars in the school, and but for us, we don't go after names. We want our daughter to be happy and actually be at the right spot. So even though she liked her friends and everything, we thought she would thrive in a place where she would get more time with the teachers, one-on-one time, and something way more creative than your typical traditional education where you go do math, 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 science, 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 English, English, English. This was getting boring because it was all photocopies, photocopies, worksheets, worksheets, fill it up. Half of them not done at the end of the term. We get half stuff, things are not completed. And we were starting to see her creativity going downhill, even though they had art classes and everything, but she was not using that throughout the day as much as we liked her to do. And it was a very hard decision. It's super hard because, when you're at a comfortable school where you started from junior kindergarten and you made friends and people are nice, the school is generally a, nice place, but there's a little thing that just my gut feeling told me that she was starting to, lose the love for education, and it scared me because she was only in grade 1 and then, starting grade 2. So that was the reason we decided to look for something different.
And so now she's in grade 2 at Pear Tree?
Yes, she's at grade 2. Yeah, she's in grade
And
2.
it was grade 1 where you started to notice this change.
Yeah, actually, kindergarten, I started losing. Kindergarten was just a whole, loss of time, in my opinion. She was not learning much. In my opinion, she wasn't doing much. No field trips, nothing. And in grade 1, she had a great teacher. Don't get me wrong, but at the same time, I thought more could be done. Why don't grade 1s do anything? No field trips, no proper concerts or theater or nothing for these kids. So everybody said, high school is great, but I'm just, I don't think I can wait that long. So, yeah, that's
Because this is a school that, like you were saying, it's a different school in Vancouver, a brand name that's well respected,
yeah.
and they offer schooling from kindergarten through to high school, and they're saying the high school, wait to the high school.
Yeah, yeah.
Do you have any idea what was happening in the classroom when you started to notice this change in your daughter?
I just realized what I was getting back as feedback in the folders at the end of the terms. It was mostly coloring photocopies or doing things that are just almost like, being in an office doing paperwork. Of course, they were doing a lot of other things. They had PE, they were doing a lot of other things, of course. They had art class, they had languages and everything. But even languages, it was mostly, coloring and doing worksheets. And I just did not like that because I think kids can be doing way more productive things or interesting things that will get their attention more. Of course, they did some STEM and this and that, but that was the thing about the classroom. It was just one teacher for 22 kids, which is, when you think about it, it's not that bad. But when you're in a very brand name private school, I think student ratio is not that great for grade 1. 22 to one teacher when you're spending quite a bit of money on these schools, you want to get a little bit more attention from, but teachers are doing whatever they can with 22 tiny little kids, of course. They're putting a lot of effort, but it just, in my opinion, wasn't good enough.
So you noticed, you felt like the spark was going out in your daughter as far as her love for school, for education.
Yeah.
When you identified that as the problem, what did you go looking for?
I went looking for something innovative, something different, something more worthy of 21st century. So education needs to change, in my opinion. And I think BC curriculum is going that way, but for a public school system, it's a bit hard to implement all over the place. It's pretty hard. But I wanted something different where it's more effective in real life, the education. Because, we all went to, university, did everything. And then in work life, nobody separates things from each other. Everything is together. So you're not separating math from communication because you need to communicate yourself all the time. So a lot of things are in real life together. It's not just one thing, and then the other thing, and then you kind of try to get them all together. And when you don't like something, you just don't like something. But if you can use that, let's say you don't like math, but if you can use that in something that you like doing, and then you see the value in it, then it becomes maybe, I don't like this that much, but look, it helped me with my project, and now I can actually measure this something and with this knowledge, when you apply it to real life situations, it becomes way better. And so I wanted something more innovative, something different, because I think teaching students, just standing up teaching them is not the way to go anymore. These kids they're going to graduate in 2030. I don't know what's going to happen. It's going to be crazy. This is only high school graduation. So I think the traditional style is just, and also at the same time, to be innovative, big schools like her previous school, it's very hard to be innovative because it has to go through board members, parents, groups and all kinds of stuff, and they have to think of hundreds of kids to innovate. But a small school, when they decide innovation, whoa, let's implement it, and we don't have to ask millions of people if we can actually do this or not. So I wanted something more flexible. That's
It's interesting to me that you're talking about innovation, but so far mostly about innovation of ideas, of curriculum, of how silos are broken down and subjects are taught in an integrated kind of way. Is that correct?
Yeah. Yes, of course. And I think also usage of technology, the way they use it, instead of the technology is never used in a way that is babysitting. Okay, take this iPad and read something, sit there in the corner, kind of a thing. But where technology is valuable in what you're doing to do research, and you see that it's not just for spend time, but it actually can be extremely useful in real life situations, and just use it that way, and there's value to it. So I never liked anything that if a school uses technology for my kid to almost babysitting her, I don't like that. It has to be meaningful.
Are there any ideas that resonate in your memory about any examples, rather, about how they have demonstrated innovation at Pear Tree, maybe in breaking down silos in the curriculum, or about how they integrate technology?
Well, yeah. First of all, every subject is integrated together. So when they have in longer terms, they have 3 projects, and short terms, the spring term was a little bit. I guess that's winter term, fall, winter, spring, I guess. So the middle one was a bit shorter, so they had 2 terms. But everything is together. So if they are trying to make something, if they're, let's say, talking about environmental issues, they integrate math in it in a way. Let's say the teacher gives them a problem about, there is this object in this lake, and the glaciers are melting in this rate, and let's say 1 centimeter in how many. These are just made up numbers. I totally forgot the exact questions, of course, but let's say in how many years this object is going to be buried submerged underwater. So this is how they're using math in a way, and this is so real because they're actually thinking about glaciers melting, but they're also actually doing the math for something. So they're not just given 12 plus 3, and that's not just that. They have to come up with a problem. So they have to write the equation themselves. They have to create it themselves. They're not given just numbers. They're given a problem to solve, which also, let's say, when they're studying reptiles, they were studying reptiles scientifically, but they were also studying reptiles in a way. Let's say they have their PE teacher is Australian, and he came and told them about how in Australian native culture, they what snake represents, and they did an indigenous kind of painting, snake painting. So everything is integrated together, and it's so much more fun. So you see them measuring snake sizes growing up this in this 1 week or something increments, and then they do that math, and they also go learn about the indigenous Australian culture in the reptile subject, and they do the painting with art, and then they did a really nice stop motion animation project where they made the clay. My daughter picked a type of a snake, and then they had to make the clay snake and the background for it, where its environment, and then they took, I don't know, 900 photos of it or something, and put it in a nice what do you call app, and turn it into stop motion animation. And they had to read a whole the narration of their snake about what does the snake eat, where does it, and they narrated their own videos. So this is just awesome. These are grade 2 students together. I mean, grade 2, grade 3, and grade 4 are together in the class, which is great because they help each other too. And so reptiles are not just reptiles, it's also making a way to make a stop motion animation video. So it's really cool.
Yeah, so you're talking like it's one theme, like reptiles,
Yeah.
but instead of science, math, and all the different subjects,
Yeah.
you're learning about cultures, you're learning about biology, you're learning about mathematics, you're learning about technology, all in with breaking down that silo all together.
Yeah, because they're using. So I don't like schools that are all technology. I want her to use her hands because I think hand dexterity is very important in a lot of other things. So before making that stop motion animation, they had to make by hand all that clay, all that background, everything, paint it, and then use the technology. So everything is coming together in a way that I really like. It's both is very important.
Technology is something that Pear Tree prides itself on as far as its approach to technology. Is there something about how Pear Tree handles introducing kids to technology, working with technology? What is it that you really appreciate about the way they do things there?
I appreciate it because there is always meaningful something meaningful about it because they learn about what do you call all kinds of Google slides and all those kind of things. So they're making Google slide presentations and things that are you and me for work need to use stuff that you normally will need to use those kind of things are important. They're first doing, let's say, doing research, and they're using that, and then all these apps, and they have iPads for the kids, and they're always charged in their charging stations, and they grab their iPad, they have their own passwords, and it's all filled with stuff that school related things, educational things, and they they are learning how to type. It's really funny watching them, forever trying to type something, but they're encouraged. First, they handwrite it, they edit each other's work, and then type it with the computer. Or actually, the little ones use the iPad and the wireless keyboard for it, but some bigger kids use actual laptops and stuff to type their things. They code. Let's say they had to make a game, a board game or a video game for one of their projects, and some of the older ones coded little video games. So this was actually really my daughter and a couple of friends. They work in groups. The groups usually made a board game, but kids that are more, can be doing coding did that, and they're all exposed to coding. They had to. They actually had to make a Mars settlement and create a Mars settlement from crafts and stuff. They just painted it, and then I forgot the name of that little robot that's very popular, and they coded that robot in a way that, let's say, you go to the kitchen and they're giving it directions to go 5 forward, 5 left and stuff, and they're learning all these things that are meaningful, but it's always integrated with different stuff. They're not sitting there doing technology for hours. They're using it for research. They're learning about encyclopedias and stuff, online encyclopedias and those kind of things. And I think their technology usage is really valuable because it's nice. It's been very useful because she already knows a lot of it, because now that she has to do online learning, most of it is she's very familiar with, which has been quite helpful.
So I want to ask you more about the decision-making process that led you to Pear Tree. But before I do, you've mentioned several things that you love about Pear Tree. What's one thing you would improve there?
What's one thing I would improve? I am not really sure, but what could be improved? I should have thought of this before.
Well, we can come back to it if that helps.
I'm sure a lot of things could be improved. Every school has, things that you can improve on. We're working on it. I think parent connection and parent participation, I thought when I first started could be improved on, and we actually started the parent volunteers from every class, and we started. So something I saw and something I started working on it right away because our previous school is a way older school, so there is these things are implemented a long time ago, but this is a new school, and this was something lacking a little bit for new students, and there was no really how do I connect with people and stuff. But we started working on it. So
the need that you saw, the problem that you saw was about, help me here, but it was about communication with parents and integration of the parent community.
School was communicating everything, but in between the parent community, there was not much happening. But right away, they decided maybe we can do this, because I was saying, building a community makes people pride. I mean, gives them pride of their school. You belong to something, which is nice for kids. So it's a very new school. So all the examples I took from our previous school, we started building it. Yes, for new students, there wasn't much, join this group so you know what's happening with the parents, kind of a thing. But we now have the email group, WhatsApp chat, and all those kind of things we implemented, and we're working on it. Yeah.
So this was about building community between parents at Pear Tree, and using that to grow school spirit, to welcome new people to the community of the school parents, and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I guess you're saying it points to the strength of Pear Tree having been founded in 2011, fairly new and small enough to be nimble, to make changes and to run with new ideas, like the one you came to them with here.
Yeah, totally. It was implemented right away, and people volunteered, and we had great events and stuff at school, and we were actually going to plan really nice things for the end of the year, but unfortunately we can't do that. Hopefully, fingers crossed, next year. But that's one thing. Yeah.
So, instead of thinking ahead, let's think back, and let's go back to that moment where you've decided that the status quo is not okay at your old school. You're going to look for a new school for your daughter to start grade 2. Yeah. And you started looking. You have never heard of Pear Tree before, but you started looking. Tell me about this moment for you, or where did you start from?
So where did I start from?
Maybe you had heard of Pear Tree before. I don't know.
I think I have heard about it, but I have seen it a bunch of times, because it was very close to where I was, living. It was just a few kilometers, but I have seen it, and I think for their summer camps and stuff, I have been on their website, but I have never sent my child to their summer camps. But I think I have seen it. But then I started Googling for a smaller school. So I did not want single gender school. So my daughter wasn't in a single gender school anyways. She was in a co-ed school. But that was totally out for me. So
why was that important to you?
Because co-ed is, I think, so for your kids not to be socially awkward. Not everybody.
Very valid.
Yeah.
But that's another kind of education.
It is. I want my kid to learn how to be friends with every type of person. So gender is one of those things, and I want her to be, just maybe because she'll like being friends with boys. How do I know? Maybe girls at one point will become very, overwhelming, because I know I'm a woman. I grew up with girls a lot too, so sometimes we are quite overwhelming. So, and because she's a single child, I want her to be able to communicate with. And she was in a co-ed school, and it was fine. She liked being there, and for me, co-ed it really had to be co-ed, especially at these first years of her life. I cannot imagine all girls, 12, 13 years of education. Oh, too many girls.
So co-ed was very important,
Yeah.
And you were looking for a smaller school as well.
Yeah. More creative school, a school that was open-minded.
Creative, open-minded, innovative, we've talked about. So just with those 3 parameters to start off, how did you feel how did you feel about your range of options in Vancouver? Looking for a school that fit these criteria.
Okay, so for me it was a bit hard, because so I wanted co-ed only, and I do not any school is not in my list too. So that does not leave much in Vancouver. Um, and first of all, we were leaving an elite school, and a similar school was not really an option because we did not really like that kind of schooling for our daughter anyway. Then a lot of the schools are quite like that. And also, to be honest, I wanted to be on the west side because we live on the west side. So I don't want to commute too far either. So that's one of the, that's just for my convenience, I guess. But when I looked at all those things, I don't think there are that many options. I don't think so. For Vancouver, I think Vancouver could handle more schools, but the problem is space. Nobody can open a new school because there's no space to open it.
So there you were early in the process. You had a criteria of things that were important to you. How early did Pear Tree arrive on your radar?
Um, Pretty quickly because we had to make our decision in December when she was in grade one. This is I guess 2019. No, not what am I saying? 2018 December, I guess. We had to tell our previous school that if we're gonna keep our spot or not. So, and when we made the decision, that's not working out, then we just right away I googled things and started reading their website and going to their you know Facebook sites and Twitter and all those kind of things to see the photos and get a feel from it. The thing is, I did not know anyone that actually went to Pear Tree, so it was a really interesting decision on our side because you usually talk to parents and stuff, but I did read
Was
a lot
that
of
was
reviews.
that an important part of what you did? Did you reach out to different people in your parent network?
No, actually, I went with my gut feeling mostly, but I did read Google reviews and stuff, of course. Wherever I found reviews and Facebook and all those kind of stuff, I read it. And just the kids looked so happy in the pictures, and they were always doing different things. First of all, another thing was very important for me that I forgot to mention is not living in a bubble. So she was in a big campus and a huge bubble. So in Vancouver, we're in a bubble when you compare it to other parts of the world. And then in West Side, it's another bubble. And then when you think about it, that campus in the West Side is another bubble in the bubble. So I wanted my daughter to be a part of the society and the community she is living in. So one thing I really liked about Pear Tree is because they're a small school and they don't have their own giant campus, they're doing everything out in the community. So their library is the public library in Kitsilano. They go every week. That's their library time. They do martial arts downstairs in a community a small business in the community. They go climbing in East Vancouver. They are on the bus. They are not driven around everywhere all the time because we drive our kids around everywhere all the time. And these kids are growing up coddled and they don't even know anything about real life. But with Pear Tree, she hops on not a school bus, sorry. She hops on a public bus. They have their own campus cards. The teacher gives them their card. They tap they go, they learn how to behave in a public bus. They hop on and hop off, and they have to walk. So these are the privileges. So many Western kids are privileged, in my opinion, like, including my own daughter. And she has to walk to the bus stop. Even if she's tired, she can't complain, building resilience. That was important for me. And when I saw Pear Tree doing these kind of activities and doing these things, I was sold because I don't want my kid growing up in privilege. I want her to know real life and to actually survive in real life situations by herself.
So when you were going through that decision-making process, you learned about Pear Tree. Was there one or two other schools that you were comparing, or was it just a gut feeling that this is the right place?
We did compare one more school downtown, a small school, and we did talk to them. And we had a nice meeting there too, lovely people. But it's just the gut feeling I got from Pear Tree. It was just so warm because it smells like your home pretty much because the food is cooked there. They have a chef They cook, and every time you go there, you're just, oh, I wish I could eat there too. So it feels like you came home, and it is just such a homey feeling, and so I don't know, the warm fuzzies you get from the place. It's just a feeling. It's ridiculous, maybe. Maybe I am very silly for, just using this kind of feeling to send my kid to school. But it was just it felt like family. Everybody knew each other. So we did, yeah, that was the only other school we went. And I just liked the feel of Pear Tree better, and I'm sure the other school is really lovely too. But it just was such a warm feeling. I don't know. Now that I think about it, I'm a little,
It's really an emotional connection.
It is. It is an emotional connection, and I like that. I think because my kid is spending time, sometimes more time there than she spends with me, pretty much, maybe all the time. But I want her to feel like she's home, she's welcomed, and she's fed very good. That is very important for me.
That's fair. That's fair. Was there one thing maybe that the other school had that Pear Tree doesn't that made you go, maybe I should think twice about this?
Oh, that school, even though it's new, they know that they're gonna continue up until grade 2. So these kids are just gonna go evolve into grade 2. What am I saying? Grade 12. And Pear Tree is right now a K7 school, and they don't have a senior school. So that makes it a little bit easier, maybe, because you don't have to look for a high school. But with Pear Tree, they do want to open up a high school. I think there's nothing wrong with I think they're perfectly capable. The only issue in Vancouver is the real estate issue, I think. But other than that, that was the only maybe that will be easier. But then I thought, nah, we'll think about it when we get there. So
it's interesting to me how, something you said earlier in our interview as well is how you were thinking about this K to 12 journey all along. It wasn't about finding a school for grade 2 or even a school for elementary. You're thinking the whole journey through to grade 12 is all wrapped up in that decision you were making.
Yeah, of course, as a parent, because application processes are not the most fun for private schools, and a lot of them are pretty competitive. It's just it's a chore to apply to schools, to be honest, and there's a lot of things you need to do. The kids have to prove so much, and it's just a hassle. But at the same time, for me, the basis of this foundation years are so important that I thought if I can provide good for until at least K-7, then we'll just think about it when we get there. But of course, as a parent, you're always thinking, all those years and what am I going to do? You want your kid to get a good education. Is it going to be even more competitive, when it comes to high school later on? And it's just, it's something you think about as a parent, for sure.
So there you were. You had your criteria, and that brought you to Pear Tree. You visited Pear Tree. You smelled the food. You felt the connection. You felt the warmth of the atmosphere, and you were sold on it. Your gut said yes.
Yeah.
What happened next? What was that process to get in once you had chosen to go there?
So first of all, we had a 2-hour almost. I'm not really sure, but it was a long meeting with one of the owners, Paul, and we had a great meeting. It was it wasn't just the gut feeling, also our values of education, how we all liked both innovative education, different and more 21st century, and his values of how education should be, and the school's values, and how they pick and choose their teachers, and how important the teacher picking process for them, and how they take it so seriously, because I think teachers make the school, because it doesn't matter what the school has, if your classroom teacher is not a good teacher, your kid is not going to be happy. So the teachers are very important. So with all those things, of course, talking for a very long time, and then of course go home, They have an online application that you fill up, and then you send, and an application fee, and you send all those. And then we had a meeting with Paul, me, my daughter, and my husband. All three of us had a family meeting. And then also she did a trial day. And this was in the other classroom, K1 classroom, because she was in grade 1. So she did her trial day with the other teacher. And this goes both ways. You see if this kind of education, because it's very different than regular education, is good for your kid, and also if they fit into that school, or if the school spirit fits, into their system. So it goes both ways. But it went very well. And during that trial day, I was they use Fresh Grade for sharing everything throughout the day, and they gave us a link to actually just for that day to join Fresh Grade, and they put photos of her doing things, and it was really lovely to see your kid having fun and just getting updates in their trial day, and she enjoyed it a lot. So there has been, we as a family, we talked to them, and then she did a trial day. And of course, if she came to me, said, "Oh, mom, I cannot handle the school, I didn't like it," I was not going to force it on her. Maybe I would just, consider other options. But she was just so happy. She said, "It was the best day ever," and she loved the food. She said she ate 3 servings, and as a parent, you just, whew, this went well.
So she had the same kind of gut feeling that you did, that this was the right place for her.
Yes, definitely. She just loved how much stuff they do. That day happened to be their gymnastics day for PE, and they walk those little feet. They walk all the way from the school to St. James Community Center and take gymnastics classes from Phoenix Gymnastics, and then came back. So this is one of the other things I told you that I liked about. They have to walk and they have to do things. They're not just coddled all the time. And she loves gymnastics. That was total sale for her. She loved it. But yeah, she just came home and she was just the happiest kid. And I picked her up. She did not want to leave the classroom. So parent, when your kid does not want to leave the classroom, you say yes. And she never wants to leave classroom now. Every time I'm there standing, waiting. And we're encouraged to be in the classroom anyways. We're always encouraged to talk to the teachers and hang out with the kids. And she just, a couple of instances, they were hugging the table, a couple of friends, and we're not leaving. I said that you guys need what do you call, boarding school, boarding retreat. These kids don't want to leave the school. So these are the things, when your kid does not want to leave school, then you think that they are doing something right.
So, as she went forward from that day and became a Pear Tree student, you started seeing the spark go out of her as far as her love for school and education. What was the change you noticed in your daughter going forward?
Oh, first of all, she was very excited to finish this year. She actually said, "Can I go to Pear Tree the rest of this year?" But that wasn't happening. And when she started grade 2, she started loving it right away. The second week or so, they went to Hive on the east side, climbing, bouldering gym for PE, and she just loves climbing, and she just was so in her element. She was just so excited about the stuff that she was doing, and it's just this, happy child. I started picking up this happy child, not drained and not hungry, tired, because she's well fed. And that's very important for young kids. When they're not fed, they're just they don't function very well. But it was night and day. Of course, she said she misses her friends. Of course, she had great connections. But at the same time, she said, education-wise, I'm so much happier here, mom, because she just she's so proud because there's always something to show for. She made this, she made that. Look at this project, look at that project, look at this thing on the wall, mom. I was just, yes, my creative kid is coming back, which is great.
Your creative kid is coming back. That
Yeah.
really sums it up.
Yeah.
If you could rank your three favorite things, just to put you through the rigor of having to pick and choose a bit, uh, what are your three favorite things about Pear Tree Elementary?
What are my three favorite things about Pear Tree Elementary is one of them is how innovative the education is and how it is for every child. Nobody is left behind. Because if your kid is not there yet, it's okay. They can still pick up. They're never left behind and they don't feel bad about not being able to do something because there is a way. The teacher tries to find a way to make them feel good about themselves. And it's everything is integrated and it is just the whole child approach. Everything is all together. I like that about Pear Tree. And I love the food program. Their chef is absolutely amazing and it's very healthy, innovative foods. Healthy, but kids are willing to eat them. And everything is from scratch. Even pasta sauce, bread, everything is made from scratch. It's so amazing. And not packing lunches is absolutely amazing. I just love that. And I also love the field trips and the community involvement. They do so many field trips. Everything, if they're studying space, they go to the space center. They just always are doing things that are in the community. They do Kitsilano Community Center skating, and their PE, everything is full of outings. They go to the beach for their environmental studies. So I really like how community moments and all kinds of field trips there are, the innovative education that it never leaves any kid behind and gives them opportunity to actually get better. And the food program, I guess. hot lunch and snacks.
If you could pick up the phone and call yourself in the past, a couple years ago when you were making this decision, and give yourself advice about that decision-making process, what would you tell yourself about that?
About the art situation or which one?
What would you tell yourself about lessons that you've learned coming through the process of deciding schools and getting to know things at Pear Tree? Is there a piece of advice that you would give yourself as a parent embarking on this process of decision making?
I would give myself the advice of don't stress too much. Because I was stressing a lot because the school we got in was when she was in junior kindergarten was really hard to get in, and she made it there, and it was just whoa, people try for 3 years to get in, and our daughter, we thought that was the only school we applied. The crazy thing is that we just loved what we heard about that school, applied, she got in, that was it. And with this school too, the same thing. I would just say don't stress and everything is going to be fine, I guess, because I don't have anything else other than that, because that was my main thing. I was just making a major decision and it was very stressful.
So looking ahead now, when your daughter is finished at Pear Tree, when she's finished the grades that they cover, and you go through this process again of finding the next school, what will be the lesson that you carry with you from the process that led you to Pear Tree?
I would say don't look for any kind of brands. Brands are not always, something becoming a brand does not necessarily mean that they're the best. And sometimes the underdog, give chance to underdogs. And sometimes underdogs are the better decisions. And I would just, again, go with my gut feeling and something, again, after this, it still has to be innovative. The school has to be doing something to get themselves into 21st century type of education.